Well, in terms of education as a lecturer, yeah, how will you say technology is playing a role?
The effect of education overall in the developments of humans as social beings, we cannot overemphasize this. And with the revolution of ICT, it has changed the way that we learn and teach generally around the world. While the most advanced nations have, achieved a great feat in this regard, we in Africa, we are trying our best. Actually, we are coming up behind them. For a practical example, now take Nigeria for instance. The days have shifted from when you have to go and purchase a form to register for a university or purchase a form to write an examination like JAM. Most of the exams now are IBT, internet-based text. And for the universities, the private ones in particular, of which I have a little knowledge of how they work, most of the lecture materials, for example, are being posted online. Students are encouraged to take out research that enable that forces them to refer to online materials for reference, amongst other things. So the ICT is bridging the gap because, first of all, we don't have a very reading culture in Nigeria, particularly. Unfortunately, we don't have that reading culture. So the attachment or the closeness that we feel to our devices, our cell phones, our tablets, and our laptops, it makes it actually easier for us to read. Because if I was a student and I know that you're sending me lecture notes and I can actually look at it via my phone while I swap between checking my Instagram and reading my lecture notes, it brings it closer to you. But the notion of going to the library to, get a very bulky book, the size of it discourages you. So while there are efforts in this regard, I would say this, we have a very long way to go because the private sector is just, a very small pinch of the whole educational sector in Nigeria. So there's a need for us to further incorporate this into the public institutions because even though administratively these things are being done in, for example, Nasarawa State University, if you need to gain admission there, you have to buy the form online, you have to make the registration online, and I'm very much sure to an extent it's the same for most universities. But it doesn't go beyond the administrative work. When it comes to the learning aspect of it, the intellectual aspect of it, there's very little implementation of ICT.
So we also have the issue of acquiring certificates, tutorials, and the likes, but some reservations have also been raised as to the authenticity of the degrees and other online obtainable qualifications.
Well, I think attaining or accessing certificates in courses online, it's a two-way coin. If you look at it from the one side, it accords people that don't have the necessary resources to migrate and live abroad. It gives you also the same opportunity to be able to have access to this certification and all that. But again, it is most of these online-based certifications are it is not practically taught. You hardly get this one-on-one interaction, except with a few systems that they've design that gives you like a whole classroom experience while you are online and you receive these lectures and there's a form of interaction across this between yourselves and the other people in the class and the lecturer or the tutor. But the problem is if you look at the issue of accessibility again, for we here in Nigeria, we have that skepticism about I got a certificate online. Naturally, if someone is to attain a certificate in a theoretical manner and not practically taught, the credibility of these certificates have come to be questioned. With an exception of a few reputable universities that you can actually pride yourself that I got a certificate here, but we have a lot of proxies and phony whatever schools online that so while it is a good development as it gives a whole lot of people the opportunity to access certain educational needs, it also has its shortcomings whereby people are being exploited through that means in the sense that I can register for a course online and I just get reading materials. I probably don't go through it. I did to the exams. I double my way around it. So there could be certification, but the question is, what about the knowledge? Was it actually being transferred? In that essence, you cannot really assess these people whom you are certifying. So it's a two-way thing again.
Well, Nee, for you, the geospatial is your area, and how has technology come into play in that sector?
I think this can be fixed by ensuring that there's a lot of awareness about keeping or about tracking SDGs project implementation from the point of, because I realize that local governments, state governments, national governments have commitment to this, and they are investing, partly they are investing public funds into this project. which means that there has to be a tracking system that centralizes information around SDGs. And at the same time, too, people monitor the progress of the implementation of the project. And at the same time, so this helps them to expand their literacy around it. Because, for example, if my local government is investing in SDGs project, for example, and I'm aware that there's a simple technology that helps us to keep track of how they are implementing the project. And in the process, too, I'm aware of the role these projects are, the impact of this project in my own life as a resident of that particular local government, then technically I'll become more literate around it, learn more about it, and know more about it. So technology, using mobile tracking device and all sorts of improvised technology, can really connect SDGs as a concept to the people in the broad sense of it. I think SDGs has the potential to achieve this very critical part if technology is properly integrated into it, which I said is a failure of the MDGs, which we extensively worked on. Then at the same time, too, tracking project deliveries in SDGs is very important. And to be very honest, I see a lot of noise and campaigns around SDGs, which is quite impressive. But I see minimal attention being paid to monitoring the project and keeping it open.
But at the same time, how do you bridge that with people? I mean, like people who know nothing about technology or the internet at all?
Basically, when we started the company around geospatial technology, we realized that there's a low literacy around that particular technology, and it's that technology is very major in achieving impact, maximum impact when you do projects like SDGs and co. So what we had to do was we realized we needed to expand literacy around geospatial technology, basically, and we founded something around geospatial technology for social impact and all. So what happened was when we started that, we were able to train over 1,000 Nigerians. But the interesting part is this whole thing was online. We started the online education. We were not very focused on the certificate aspect. We were only focused on skill acquisition. So basically, we're practically teaching them how to use about 5 different softwares online. And we had a lot of resources to work with. But the interesting thing is, after about 6 months of actually operating this particular project, the fact that we got international nominations for it, we were able to produce 2 international interns that ended up working with an international organization that is quite major. I'm trying to avoid mentioning name. And the funny thing is, one of them ended up working with that organization in another government, in another African government, in another African country, with a lot of impact. What I'm saying in essence is the goal of this particular project was to educate people, and we discovered that one, technology helped in that aspect. We're able to reach over 1,000 students in the space of 1 month and teach them about what they had no idea about.
Well, thank you guys for joining us, but that's where we have to leave the conversation. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back with more analysis from a digital transformation consultant. Stay with us.